President Donald Trump. So we're going to run through some of his main cabinet picks, and then we're going to go through some of his agenda, what he's announced that he wants to do, and kind of the first 100 days, hitting the ground running, and then we're going to kind of
drain the swamp.
Yeah,
by bringing in multiple billionaires.
I don't have a problem with it, but I think it's awesome.
I don't understand the logic that someone is immediately a bad person if they're rich. Like, you understand that they're rich probably because they've been working hard and they probably employ many people.
No, they're corrupt and they exploit the worker.
Like, we should be pushing for more people. Everyone, like...
People who are successful and do their jobs well, you probably want them in leadership positions, right? I mean, it kind of makes sense.
No, I think the person that's just hanging out on welfare, they deserve to be the rich person.
But it is pretty great, and we are going to point out how many billionaires he has in his cabinet because it's kind of awesome.
It's the richest cabinet ever, right?
Oh yeah, by far.
Maybe it could even offset our deficit.
Yeah, just put that in. Just put their money in.
Put it in a trust fund.
But yeah, so of course you have President Donald Trump. He's obviously a billionaire. But then we're going to kind of jump right into it.
He's a billionaire a couple times over, right?
Yeah, I think he's worth $4 or $5 billion. No one really knows, but yeah, it's terrible. Rex Tillerson. So this is somebody that people have been freaking out about.
Secretary of State.
Yeah, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson. Especially if you're kind of on the climate change bandwagon and stuff like that, because
he's very.
He was the CEO of ExxonMobil, which is the biggest oil company in the world. So chances are
not currently, right? He dropped that.
What did you say? Yeah, no, not anymore. But he was since 2006.
So as Secretary of State, what is he going to be responsible for?
I mean, he's going to be heading up all of the foreign relations with the other countries and stuff like that. He'll be negotiating a lot of stuff. And I think that his experience as CEO of Exxon will make him pretty uniquely qualified as long as any prior relationships he has with those countries don't get in the way. If he can separate those, which is yet to be seen.
Being in oil.
Yeah, I mean, he's dealt with the Middle East. The Middle East deals like a ton in oil. Russia's main exports are guns and oil, and
vodka.
Yeah, right. So I mean, he's got good experience negotiating with other countries. He kind of knows a lot of countries' cultures and how they work and stuff. So I think the main fear with him that a lot of people have is he's a little bit friendly with Russia. But again, a lot of these things are speculations because people don't really know that much about him.
Yeah, I feel like the CEO of ExxonMobil.
That's a big deal, but it's not like he's going to have this huge, portfolio of things that he's done where people can look up like a ton of stuff that he's done. But there have been a lot of, obviously a lot of Democrats who are concerned about his relationship with Russia. But then there's even been some people on the conservative side. Marco Rubio is one that stands out who has definitely been questioning his relationship with Russia, and he's been trying to get him to kind of condemn certain acts that Vladimir Putin has done, and Rex Tillerson won't do it.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll see. I mean, honestly, I'm not too concerned about it. I think the pick makes sense, especially if you're Trump. I mean, Donald Trump has announced
like a Trump pick.
Yeah, he's announced multiple times that he wants to be in good relationship with Russia. This pick makes sense. Obviously, he has a lot of experience. It is important to note he'll be the first Secretary of State who hasn't been in the public sector in the government at all or had military experience before.
See, that doesn't
doesn't bother me, but it's just something. It's just.
I think this is going to be an interesting test case for a lot of things. Where,
dude, I don't think the founders really envisioned people being career politicians.
No, I think they thought they'd be people.
Yeah, you're a successful person in whatever venture you're in. You go into politics because you want to make a difference, and then you retire and you go back to being another citizen. That's how.
No, you just get into the Senate and you just stay in the Senate for your whole life.
Forever. Yeah, there you go. Now, you're thinking.
I mean, I think it's going to be an interesting test case for a lot of these issues where a lot of people are saying Trump's not qualified. Well, I don't think there's anywhere that says that you need to be a career politician in order to run. Like, we don't know what's going to happen when a businessman runs America, you know? Yeah. And so I think this is going to be really cool. And I think this is, I mean, it does seem like a very Trump
pick
vote.
Yeah.
A fellow businessman. I mean,
honestly, we're going to run through some more of these, but I've been pretty pleasantly surprised, honestly, with his nominees for the most part. Jeff Sessions is another great pick for Attorney General. Another Trump pick. I mean, this guy, he's getting completely slammed by the mainstream media for everything under the sun, being racist, all this kind of stuff, because he's a hawk on the border.
He's not the Mad Dog guy, is he?
No, he's not. No, that's Secretary of Defense, Mad Dog.
Okay. He sounds freaking awesome.
Yeah, he does sound awesome. But yeah, Jeff Sessions, so he'll be really strong on the border.
That's racist.
Again, is racist.
You can't be strong on the border and not be racist.
It's impossible to uphold laws that are on the book and not be a racist.
Yes.
So
no, I mean, I'm all down. I'm totally on board with stronger borders. I mean,
if you just enforce the laws that we already have, the situation will kind of work itself out. And I mean, every president deports a ton of people. I mean, President Obama, he doesn't like to talk about it all, but his administration deported millions of people. Trump's will do the same, except the media will cover it.
You just make sure you don't get Hollywood, because if you do, then we'll only have football and MMA.
And MMA to watch, exactly.
Yeah.
But he'll be strong on the border. I think that's another solid pick, definitely a Trump pick.
I don't know. He's not a billionaire, you know?
That's true. Well, hold on. We got the second billionaire coming up here.
Oh, God. Okay. I was getting worried.
Yeah, the education secretary, Betsy DeVos. So I think this is another good pick. Again,
a lot of people are not a fan of her.
Yeah, a lot of people don't really like her. She's a big GOP donor. Between her and her husband combined over their lifespan, they've donated, I think it's like $2.75 million to the Republican candidacy. But when I think she's worth almost $3 billion. That's really not that much.
What'd she do?
That is a great question.
I might look that up real
Check
quick.
it up and see.
Yeah.
I think I saw it somewhere. But I know she's heavily involved. She's the chairwoman of the WinQuest Group, which is a privately held investment firm. And one thing that's big for her is she's against Common Core, and she is in favor of people being able to enlist their kids in charter schools if they choose to do that, and kind of. I think her being against Common Core will be really good, because I think that a federal standard for the schools, it needs to be state decided, and it needs to be state by state, because I think that communities and stuff like that do a better job of determining education standards for their community than just one blanket statement by the federal government.
Yeah. I can't seem to find quickly where she got her money. I don't know.
We'll look it up. We'll find it, maybe mention it a little bit later.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she's billionaire number 2. Awesome. Secretary of Health and Human Services, which isn't Ben Carson, which I feel like he is in the cabinet, but it's not there, which you'd think he'd be there.
Well, is this what he said he wasn't qualified for?
No, that was something. No, that was the position that he's in, but he ended up taking it anyway.
Well,
he's not qualified.
He's
not qualified to lead an agency, but he's qualified to be president because he ran.
Yep.
I really don't listen. Ben Carson, great.
I
think he's a great guy, and he's nice. I think his heart's in the right place, but why? Anyways,
yeah.
So Tom Price, this guy's, he's going to be instrumental in kind of repealing Obamacare, or the Affordable Care Act, if it happens. He's been a long time.
So he just hates Americans.
Yeah, he does. He doesn't want poor people to have health insurance. I think he said he wanted them to die on the street. I'm not sure, but
we'll just put that on Facebook. And
yeah, exactly. Everyone share it without.
It's now a fact.
So yeah, he'll be instrumental in that. He said that he wants to put the healthcare system back to being privatized, which is how it was before the Affordable Care Act. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's going to happen. I really don't think they're going to do
It's going to be hard to,
because people
get rid of it without
have this idea in their head that healthcare is a right and that they just deserve it. And honestly, if you try to fight against that argument,
it's a
hard argument to win, because while I think that it isn't, I mean, if you're going to use that same logic, then food should be a right, because people need food to live. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. And after seeing how economies run with these socialized healthcare systems, it doesn't work. Mm-hmm. You have a lack of doctors. You have a lack of choice. You're waiting for a really long time. I mean, you look at any other major country's healthcare system, people have to wait for, months.
An opening, yeah.
Yeah, for openings to happen. And when you make it a commodity, which is what I think it really should be, then you're going to have people who are able to afford it, and that's why the American healthcare system is the greatest, and it still is, but it was the greatest healthcare system in the world. People from all around the world would come to America to receive healthcare. But it just makes you seem very like, if you say you shouldn't be entitled to healthcare, like, you know what I mean? People think that's such a bad thing to say.
Multifaceted argument for sure, and now
it's going to be a hard thing to come back.
Weren't able to be insured, now they're being insured. It's going to be hard to be like, well, now you're not again.
It's
one of those things. Now that we've given it to them, it's going to be hard to take it back. So
the Affordable Care Act was good for, like, you know, maybe those, I think they say 16 to 20 million people who couldn't afford health insurance at all and didn't have it. You know, it played in their favor. But for the other vast majority of people who saw premiums rising, who had their premiums that rose and they couldn't keep their doctor and all this kind of stuff, it's not better for them. So
it's
Anyways, it'll be interesting to see what they do.
I do like the idea of Obama's legacy kind of just going away.
Dying completely. yes, that is nice.
Yep.
Then you have Secretary of Commerce, Wilbur Ross, billionaire number 3.
Nice.
People don't really know that much about him, but apparently he's been well known for coming in and kind of companies that were bankrupt to kind of jump in and resurrect them. He's he's known for helping companies out and stuff like that. Secretary of Treasury, we have this last name's a little tough to pronounce. I think it's Stephen Mnuchin.
Minushka.
Anyway, you Google it and you try and pronounce it before you judge me. All right.
It's gonna take you at your word. So wait, the Secretary of Treasury is not a billionaire?
No, he's not a billionaire. He's rich. He's very rich. I know. Yeah, he should be
I'm just kidding.
But yeah, so this guy was 17 years at Goldman Sachs. So obviously he's very. And when you say the word Goldman Sachs, you know, one of the biggest investment banks, people tend to think corruption. They think Wall Street. They think of the 2008 financial collapse, corruption, all this kind of stuff. Which that stuff.
It doesn't necessarily give me confidence.
No, and it's not really a drain the swamp pick either.
No, doesn't seem like it.
Yeah, but I think that, you know, you have to take people on an individual basis instead of just generalizing things. So I don't really know that much about him. He's obviously successful at what he does, and he's spoken out against all of the spending and stuff like that we've been doing. He's specifically opposes Dodd-Frank, and he talks a lot about, you know, kind of amending that per se. So I think that'll be interesting to see what happens.
A lot of these are going to be. We just don't.
Yeah,
know.
A lot of it's
like,
speculation.
It's such a different.
Well, the mainstream media knows.
Well, that's true.
But
they're all racist.
Yeah,
and
other
they
people
hate
don't.
Americans.
So Secretary of Defense. This is who we were talking about earlier, General Mad Dog Mattis. So this guy is something else, man. I was reading some quotes by him.
Yeah,
dude, this guy's crazy. He's talking about like, oh yeah, I love getting in brawls with people and fighting's fun. And
friggin' Andrew Jackson. 2.0.
Yeah, dude, and he was talking about, you know, how he loved going over there in the Middle East and, you know, taking people out and ending their lives for their evil ideology and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, I'm good with that. Like,
yeah, sounds good. Maybe
sounds like the
crazy.
person who I would want in charge of Secretary of Defense.
Yes.
But yeah, so he was in the Marine Corps, or in the military. I know for 41 years he was a Marine. He retired in 2013. But yeah, no, he's just known for his blunt tactics, and I think he'll be a good Secretary of Defense.
Yeah, it sounds like he's gonna sustain a strong military, hopefully.
Yeah, people relate him a lot to General Patton, who, of course, Old Blood and Guts was his name, so he was very blunt and stuff like that too. Yep. So we'll see how that is. And then so here comes Ben Carson with Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, and I think he will be the best neurosurgeon. Is that
racist? Urban development? I think that might be that might actually be racist.
That might actually be racist somehow.
I mean, I like Ben Carson. I don't know how fit he is, but I think he's worth a shot. I don't know, honestly. Can these be changed? 2 years in, can he adjust these people?
Probably.
I
don't think it happened. I mean, if he won re-election again in 4 years, then all of these cabinet picks would then be up again for appointments. But I don't know if it's ever really been done kind of midterm or anything like that, been changed. But yeah, we'll see. Like we said earlier, you know, I think Ben Carson's heart's in the right place. So just interesting that he didn't say that he was qualified for it.
Yeah.
We got billionaire number 4 coming up.
Woo!
Secretary of Small Business Administration, Linda McCohen.
Wait, that's the second chick in this. Female.
Shh.
I thought he hated women.
Shh. He does.
Okay.
He does.
Okay.
Yeah, so she is there's really not that much about her. We'll kind of find out more about her and stuff like that, but she's co-founder and former CEO of the WWE, which is pretty awesome. No way. That's awesome. So she probably knows The Rock, and if she knows The Rock, then I like her. Anyways. Yeah. So then the last one we're going to talk a little bit about is the Chief of Staff, Reince Priebus, which again, it's not really a Drain the Swamp pick since he was the former leader of the RNC and stuff like that. But he did, like a lot of these people, we didn't really mention it, but a couple of these people were very starch Trump supporters in the very beginning. They turned out and showed allegiance to him.
I feel like he's someone that would definitely
reward loyalty.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
What did Kellyanne, what did she end up with? I thought she ended up with something.
She's definitely something. She's like a spokesperson. She basically just goes on TV and defends the crazy things he says sometimes.
There you go. Counselor to the president.
Yeah. She probably has the hardest job of all.
Yeah. She has to reel him in.
Defend his tweets.
Yeah, I know, right? Although she killed it, man, on Seth Meyers. I like her.
Yeah.
So. Did you see her outfit on the inauguration?
No, but I'm sure Bill Clinton did.
No, it was actually weird. It was like a revolutionary time looking modern outfit. Like it was a red, white, and blue. You should look it up if you can find it.
We'll throw a picture up.
We'll throw a picture up. It was real. I thought it was cool looking. It was like that was kind of. It seemed very American.
Oh wait, I think I did. It had like no, I think now that you mention it, I think it had
Yeah, it looked freaking cool.
Patriotic,
I was like,
man.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are his main cabinet picks and appointments.
I'm kind of upset. Who was the female Republican candidate?
Carly Fiorina.
I liked her a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know where she would fit, but
I think she actually came out and supported Donald Trump in the end, but they obviously had kind of, I mean, that's politics.
Ben Carson also was against Donald in the beginning, and then I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
I would have liked to have seen her. I liked her a lot, but to each his own.
So yeah, let's go through and talk a little bit about what he said that he wants to do. Kind of hitting the ground running.
Make America great again.
There you go. That's it. That is, anyways. So one of the things that he said earlier is he wants to push for term limits in Congress. Now, obviously, the president doesn't have the authority to push amendments or anything like that. That's up to Congress. It's a nice thought. I am fully in favor of term limits in Congress. Yep. I think career politicians, I think it's a way for corruption to breed and for people to kind of stay in power, and it doesn't allow for fresh insight and stuff like that to come in and take place.
It seems odd to me when you think about it. You have these people in the Senate and whatnot passing these laws, and especially technologically with the internet regulations and stuff like that, where I bet you half of them don't even know what a tweet is. And it's like, I think we need some younger people that are more in tune with the world.
I mean, obviously, I'm not just saying, put someone young in there because they know what they're doing. They need to be experienced and obviously, successful in their field. But yeah, I mean, come on, man. Like what? Bernie Sanders is like a freaking 1,000, man.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. I just,
and like these Mitch McConnells and John McCain's, man, who have been in there forever and just, gosh, get them out. Get them out, man. But yeah, so anyways, Mitch McConnell has already said he's already said that it's not going to even get on the table. They're not going to even talk about it. Term limits.
Well, I mean,
because they would have to pass them. Yeah.
And why are they going to be like, oh yeah,
we should limit our power. And Democrats and Republicans alike are not going to go for that. Unfortunately. See, if Republicans and conservatives were really smart right now, they would find common ground.
Whoa.
I know, right? It's crazy. They would find common ground with all of these, Democrats and stuff freaking out about President Trump being elected and take this opportunity to shrink the power of the presidency and of the federal government while they're on their side. You know what I mean? That would
be a way to actually get the Democrats on board, because usually they want to grow the government.
Exactly. Right now they're
Trump,
freaking out.
They'd want to shrink him.
Like, there's no reason for all these protesters to be freaking out. Like, I agree with you. We need to shrink. We need to not. The president should not affect our lives that much.
Yeah.
Cut it back.
Well,
Anyways,
no, he's the next Hitler. I think I saw.
He
yeah.
is.
I also think I saw that lovely video. The guy was like, "Oh yeah, I'd rather have Stalin." I was like, "I don't."
And what the reporter's like, Stalin's responsible for killing 50 million people. The guy's like, "Yeah, I'd rather have Stalin." I'm like, okay, you're an idiot.
Well, Trump said mean things.
Exactly, he did say mean things, so it's the same.
Words, actions.
But yeah, no, this isn't going to happen. If you're gonna amend the Constitution, it requires a 2/3 of Congress support. It's a supermajority, and then in addition to 38 out of 50 states being on board with it. It's not going to happen, as much as I would like to see it. Another thing, obviously, the Affordable Care Act is a big thing that they've been talking about. Kind of going against repealing, replacing. We talked a little bit about it earlier. I don't know exactly what their strategy is because, honestly, Donald Trump has gone back and forth on what he said. There's interviews earlier where he said, he wants everyone to be covered. And then, the reporter asked him, who's going to pay for it. And he said, the government will pay for it. Everyone will be covered. So that's obviously something similar to the Affordable Care Act. But then he puts someone like Tom Price as the Secretary of Health and Human Services, who has specifically said that he wants to go back to privatizing the health care system. So I don't know exactly what their
I don't put much weight into what Trump says, so
that's true.
I think putting the guy
it'll be interesting to see how his presidency is. If Trump will kind of step back and let the people he's put in these positions kind of make the policies, and he'll be the spokesman and he'll go on and make the speeches and stuff and tweet about it, or if he's going to really be involved hands-on and stuff.
I'm really interested to see how Twitter works into this, man, because it could be really cool to where obviously we get his dumb remarks if someone says anything bad about him, but also you could get things where he could tweet out just got out of a meeting with the Senate, they suck or something. You could get this really cool insight on what the president goes through. I don't know. Yeah, it's going to be interesting, and it's going to be something I think future presidents are going to have to leverage.
Yeah, sure. I agree. If Twitter's still around.
You hear he's keeping his personal Twitter, and then the POTUS account is just gonna tweet whatever he tweets, but he'll be tweeting from his because he has more followers than the POTUS.
Oh yeah, for sure, dude. There's no way he's giving that up.
Yeah. Plus, he'd have to give out the POTUS one. So
yeah. He's talked about lifting vital energy infrastructure projects. He's a big proponent of advancing the Keystone Pipeline forward and stuff like that. Obviously, this is a huge industry that has kind of been, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of
decimated.
I can't think of it. Anyways, it's been restricted. Obviously, it's kind of been pressed down. Can't think of it. But it's been very restricted, very suffocated. Yeah. Throughout, even through the Bush years too, a little bit, but from Clinton on, basically, there's been very strict regulations on this energy industry in the name of climate change and stuff like that. So I think it's important to protect the climate and stuff like that. That's definitely something that we need to look into, and we shouldn't just be dumping, tons of poisonous, toxic fumes and stuff like that into the ocean and into the ground. We need to obviously look into that. But when it comes at the expense of, trillions of dollars and, thousands and thousands of jobs, you have to look at it, realistically. There's a better way to figure that out, right? I mean, we need to be able to tap into
what
these.
They've said is they haven't said that they don't believe in climate change, right? They just say that they don't necessarily think that it's so much our fault and that it's so much our duty to be fixing it, right? Or have they flat out said climate change isn't real?
No, I don't think they've. Donald Trump himself has specifically said that climate change is made up.
Made up by China, right?
Yeah, but then of course he retracted that statement and he came back and
because if you just look at the facts, I mean, it's happening. I mean, we are getting.
Yeah, I mean, the climate is changing. Does man contribute to that? Maybe.
Probably.
Probably, but it's not at the records that they're saying at all. If you look at temperatures over the past 100 years, I don't have the exact stats right in front of me, but I think it's 1.8 degrees that the temperature has increased year over year. It's on average. It's really not much at all. So that's something that he's really looking into. And then obviously trade is huge with Donald Trump. He campaigned heavily on trade. Yeah.
That was kind of his pivotal. His main,
yeah, well, immigration and trade, he kind of backed off a little bit on immigration, but he'll do it. But yeah, this is what I think won the election with him. Really got those blue collar northern workers and stuff like that. All those deplorables in there back on his team, or to vote for him. And this honestly is concerning to me personally. Putting tariffs up and stuff like that is not going to be a successful way for the United States economy to grow. I mean, when you look at countries, what country benefits from tariffs, it's typically not the one, and this is a general rule of thumb, it's not the country that puts up these tariffs and stuff like that, because all that does is make costs more expensive for the consumer. Because you have an American industry that sells, say, sweaters for $30. You have a British industry that sells sweaters for $25. When you put a tariff in that is then essentially taxing this British company, say $5 to make them competitive, then you have consumers now having to pay $30 for a sweater that they're accustomed to pay $25 for. Purchasing power of the consumer goes down. They're having to pay more for products. They're then not able to invest that money than they would have into other companies or industries, so that depletes other companies' growth. And then in addition to that...
Well, those are all companies outside of America.
No, because the
tariff doesn't affect the companies inside of America.
No, it affects
the people from outside.
Imports. Yeah, exactly. But it raises prices for the consumer in specific industries.
It could, for sure.
So right now you can buy clothes that are made outside of America are far cheaper than clothes that are made in America. Yes. Typically, we don't because America doesn't produce clothes. It's just not. We do a lot in the real estate, automobile industry. We do a lot with technology. We don't really do clothes that much. So when you have other countries who do have the labor and stuff like that to produce these clothes, and then they sell them for much cheaper, when you put a tariff on that to spike that price up to what clothes made in America costs, then the consumer's having to spend more money, is what I'm saying. So it raises prices on the consumer, not to mention it ticks other countries off with possible trade wars. Just put that aside. But then when you don't have other companies, when you're not paying other companies money in dollars, I mean, what really happens when you pay a British company who's selling sweaters in America in U.S. dollars, they in turn have to use those U.S. dollars to invest back into America. The money comes back into America because they're dollars and they're only spent in the United States.
They would just convert them.
So whether they convert them to a bank, they sell them to a bank, and then another person goes in and takes those dollars out, and it gets back in the economy. Mm-hmm. So anyways, I think that a common fallacy with economics is that people want full employment, right? So bring the jobs back to America, create full employment. What you really want to look at is you want full production other than full employment. You can have full employment, but not a very productive society. You see that, in Greece, they have virtually full employment. Their people work like 35 hours a week. Their country's bankrupt because they don't produce anything. That's an extreme example, but that's just kind of throwing that out there. So it's just, you have to be really careful with it. And like I said, it's just a general rule of thumb. I'm not saying that you can't place any import taxes or anything like that, but when you're threatening companies who...
Strictly with those.
Yeah, with that, who leave... And then not to mention, the United States, out of any free economic nation, has the highest corporate tax of 39.1%.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So, I mean, what if you want to I'm all for bringing jobs back to America, don't get me wrong. But if you want to do that, you need to fix the root problem and take down the corporate tax rate. That's going to bring companies back, because I really don't think that American businesses want to outsource all of their jobs to Mexico and stuff like that. I mean, like,
well,
it
can
be,
right now.
People don't want to. They don't want to. Yeah, no, but a lot of it's cheaper. Not only just because of, you have to take into account, of course, obviously labor and shipping and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But if you drop that tax rate down to a more competitive amount, I mean, I really don't think that these U.S. companies want to send, especially technology-based companies like Apple. You don't want to have all of your production and manufacturing going on in China where they don't respect patented laws. Like, they will steal your technology.
True. And so every iPhone we know about it before. It's been leaked. We had the full prototype. Yeah. And I mean, that might still happen here, but
for them, it makes more economic sense to risk their stuff being stolen, but their workers are being paid $2 an hour, where here it would be far more,
Yeah. Yes.
So it's definitely an argument that needs to be made, because to a lot of people, bringing jobs back to America sounds great and it sounds nice. Like, yeah, who doesn't want jobs in America? Mm-hmm. But if you look at it really on a big scale and you don't just hone in on specific groups or industries who benefit from tariffs, and then it's at the expense of the consumer and other companies. I
also worry that a lot of the jobs. Well, I mean, what I hear and what I think, a lot of the jobs that they want to be back is not necessarily highly skilled jobs. It's jobs that employ a lot of people, but not necessarily a lot of highly skilled people.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I think those are going to be the first jobs that are going to be automated.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're going to bring them back, but for how long? You know. Mm-hmm. And so, like, how long until it's all robots and you employ more highly skilled workers than these like you employ 3 engineers to watch the machines rather than 15 people that used to sew. I don't know how clothes are made, but I feel like at this time where we are at, we have to be careful because I really do think that automation, AI, it's gonna change and
the American economy has changed and adapted. The jobs that used to be in manufacturing clothes and being on the car line and stuff like that, making cars, have now changed into technology jobs and computer software engineering and design jobs and stuff like that. So it's losing one job here and creating another job here, in essence. So, anyways, I think that for me is kind of a concern.
We're gonna have to see how it goes.
We'll have to see how it goes because I don't think he really hasn't gotten that much support from backing from the Republican Party for increasing tariffs and stuff like that. But we'll see what happens.
Where's the wall?
We'll see what happens.
I don't see the wall.
Let's make it happen, man. Come on, build the wall.
Do you think that's even do you think he's just not gonna mention it now ever again?
I don't think he'll talk about it much. I don't think he'll talk about it much. I don't think he'll build. I do not think that he's gonna build a wall, border to border, the entire thing walled up.
Maybe he'll build like a nice little wall like Bill built.
And I mean, honestly, I don't think it requires that. I think there's certain places where a wall would be effective, and I think there's certain places where it wouldn't be. Also, you have to look at people flying in. Like, it's not just people walking across the border.
Yeah. What if he changed it?
If you just support our border
theoretical
control
wall of border security.
What'd you say?
He's like, what if he changes it and be like, well, I didn't mean a physical. I meant like a more metaphorical wall of security.
Exactly. Sounds about right.
So really, there's not much he's talked about in terms of immigration for his first 100 days.
Not that I've seen. I mean, obviously he said stuff, but I mean, he's been touting these things very strongly about wanting to get to these things. And obviously we can't cover everything. That would be too long of a video. Yeah. But these are kind of some of the main things that he's been talking about.
Yeah, and I think what's important too right now moving forward is now we need to scrutinize him. We need to stay on him. We need to take what he says. Now is when he's a clean slate, and from moving forward, it doesn't do us any good to not criticize
exactly.
him now.
You need
now
to
we need to be
fair on what he does right and call him out for what he does wrong. Because I mean, there was an argument when the election was going on. Don't say anything bad about Trump, anything to get, to not have Hillary in office, blah, blah, blah. I didn't agree with it then, but now you definitely, if you don't hold him accountable now, when will he ever be held accountable?
Yeah.
So yeah, like we said, I would classify myself as skeptically optimistic, as really anyone should.
I have high hopes.
The new incoming president. Yeah. Judge him where he is. He hasn't, well, I mean, he's probably done something now. He is officially president. But take him for what he does. Don't judge him until you see the results.
Yep. And now is when we're going to start seeing how much crap he was full of,
or maybe he'll deliver and he'll be the greatest president ever.
That would be
great.
The biggest. Oh, that'd be incredible.
That would be great.
How would the news spin it?
Not likely, but
yeah.
Well, he'd be terrible. He's already a bigot.